Welcome to Arcade Attack. A retro gaming podcast for up to 4 players.
Sonic Boom!
Welcome back, it's Adrian here, and it's part 2 of the Rocky Rundown Marathon discussion.
Rocky is a Rocky marathon.
It is. We in part 1, if you missed it, we whizzed through what Rocky meant to us, our earliest memories, Rocky 1, 2, and Rocky 3, and today we're going to carry on with Rocky 4. But before we do that, let me introduce my fellow Rocky lovers. We got Dilsey.
I'm Rocky Lover number 1.
And James.
I'd like to get a couple of hats.
Keith.
Hello, I'm back. Hello.
Rocky 4 is a really interesting film in the Rocky series. It's quite divisive in many ways. Some people absolutely adore it. For many people, it's their favourite Rocky film. For others, they might argue it's a little bit too OTT. It's a small... It's almost Rocky goes to space kind of elements to it. It's a bit crazy.
I mean, that's one way of describing Russia, but sure.
I like Rocky 4 a lot. It's an interesting movie. It's so 80s, it's unbelievable. It oozes 80s goodness.
You can criticise it for being OTT, but it was 1985.
But yeah, the mid-80s were OTT.
Product of its time.
Before we go into it, actually, I've got a little memory of a story about James, actually, because I remember this.
Yes, I know. Yeah, go on, go for it.
We had lots of fun playing video games at your house, in your room. Master System was on like there was no tomorrow.
You've mentioned video games again, so there's another tenuous link.
There is a tenuous link.
We're back in the room.
I don't know where you got it or how you got it, but I was very jealous because I went to your house once and I noticed a certain postcard in your room, and it was a still image, a really clear, it's like a photo, but it was a postcard, I believe, of Ivan Drago, which we'll talk about later, and Rocky, like mid-punch, sweat going everywhere. It was the most amazing picture, and I was like, I want this. And for a split second, I thought, can I just take this and James won't notice? But I didn't. I was like, I really want this postcard. I was jealous.
Contemplating theft
I did.
from your friend.
I know, it's very bad, isn't it? I'm a bad person. And James...
Now I know.
It took years for James to forgive me. But do you remember that postcard?
I do.
Why and how on earth did you get that postcard?
Do you know what? I think it may have been in the sleeve of like a VHS or something. So I think there might have been because like the story that I told in the first pod around renting number 3 after I'd seen the end of 2. It's just a weird introduction. And then I think what happened is I then might have asked for like 4 for a birthday present or Christmas or something like that. Or like saved up a little bit of pocket money or something, I don't know, and gone and got because I definitely owned the Rocky 4 VHS before I owned any of the others.
Right.
And then, so I think, if I remember correctly, it was in it was in like one of the plastic cases, but I think inside the VHS was in like a cardboard sleeve. And I think in that was the postcard.
Oh, nice.
That's cool.
And I've still got it.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, you just reminded me literally now. It's in a box. It's in a little like a sleeve of its own in a box in the loft. I've got some like little kind of personal trinkets. I don't hold on to a lot of stuff, but that's actually in a little box with some other kind of personal bits. But I have actually still got that postcard.
I just remember.
Funnily enough,
I
and I've only just realised now that you mentioned it.
We can't talk Rocky 4 without talking about a certain robot, and it's kind of
Sylvester Stallone.
Shots fired.
It kind of is the start of the movie, really, isn't it? We'll do the proper story in a minute, but it's Paulie's birthday even. Exactly, and he thinks he's going to get a sports car.
Is it parked outside on the driveway?
He's been a good friend to Rocky for many years, and the least he deserves, in his humble opinion, is a sports car. But he doesn't get a sports car, does he? Around the corner becomes a robot. It is so cool. I mean, happy birthday, Paulie. How would you explain it? It's about
That's wicked.
happy. It's the size of a human, isn't it? And I think
Yeah.
it's carrying a cake.
Yep.
I mean, it's bizarre. It's
It's
wacky.
got, like, big bug eyes. Yeah.
It's enormous, isn't it?
It's a big robot.
It's amazing. I think originally that robot was made for Stallone wanted to make one for his son, who's his first son's I think has got special needs. So I think he wanted like a robot for his first son. But I think he thought that'd be pretty cool to put in a movie as well. So I think that's life and art mixing over again.
Well, by the time Rocky IV came around, what Sly says goes in the film. Let's be honest.
Well, no, exactly. The main plot though of the story is not really the robot and turn the gender of the robot or anything like that. Even though that arguably happens, it's bizarre. is the story of Ivan Drago,
Bum, bum, bum.
the Russian. He wants to. He's obviously doing well. I think he's a very well trained fighter. You know, in the Soviet Union, and his team wants a friendly exhibition match with Rocky Balboa. Rocky's not too bothered about this. I don't think he even hears about it properly, but Apollo sees it, doesn't he? Apollo Creed's in his
Apollo's up
swimming
for
pool.
it. He's like, oh yeah, got to show him a list.
I think that's putting it mildly. Up for it.
He is furious in the swimming pool.
He's in the swimming pool, and he's playing with his dog,
Yep.
playing tennis balls, and he sees the advert because they have a TV right next to the swimming pool, which is a bit dangerous.
Yep.
It really catches his attention.
And he firstly he gives Rocky a phone call. I need to talk to you. It's serious. And he actually calls him via the robot, which is in. Yeah, it's pretty funny. Apollo's a very patriotic, very he's a proud man. He
There you
thinks
go, there's that word again.
he is proud, isn't he? And he
pride, yep.
he feels like this Ivan Drago fellow. Who
do
is
you
this
think he
guy?
is?
This
Yeah.
whippersnapper.
Well, he looks at it like a bit of an attack, doesn't he? Like a kind of a media attack, because he sees this guy basically demonstrating on all of this very expensive modern equipment being measured, and in terms of how much per square inch pressure he's putting on his punch, and all of these kind of like very newfangled designs and things like that, and like this guy who literally looks like a robot. Yeah, I think you can draw some parallels there. Maybe that's what they were doing. But yeah, this guy that looks very robotic and very kind of like scary, tall, large, muscular. Do you know what I mean? And he's like, and at the time, certainly late 70s and into the 80s, the whole communist
The
kind
mid
of,
'80s is the height of the Cold War, wasn't it?
yeah, and it was, and that whole build up to that was just the whole thing was like, communism was the arch nemesis of everybody in the US, so there's no surprise that that's what kind of gets him riled up, because he's like the ultimate American, isn't he?
And the two characters are complete opposites. So Apollo Creed is all talk, all macho, gusto,
Very flashy,
flashy, flamboyant. Whereas Ivan Drago, played by Dolph Lundgren, is very stoic, very quiet, all business. Hardly ever talks in the film. He hardly ever talks.
Yeah,
He's
not
got
so much.
he hasn't got many lines at all. Most of the talking on Ivan's behalf is from his wife, Bridget Nielsen.
Yeah.
Ludmilla.
Ludmilla Drago.
Exactly. She's a good-looking girl, I have to say. In that
That was
film.
her peak, wasn't it? I think. Not really. Then
I think
things
so.
happened to her along the way, but
Well, in real life, caught someone's eye.
Yeah, well, I think soon after a certain Sly Stallone married little Bridget
Indeed.
Nielsen for a very short space of time, but
Yeah.
that's a different story. Apollo asked Rocky to help train him one last time.
Yeah.
And then Rocky's like, "Well, we're turning into regular people, Don't you think it's time we, did something else?" Apollo's
He was
having it.
having none of it. He was having
He's
none
not
of
coping
that.
well with being retired, is he?
He actually I think he gets quite annoyed at the concept that Rocky's like, you got to settle down and just like, be a family man. And he's like,
Play with your dog.
He's almost like, how dare you, sort of,
You can't change who you are. It's not like a radio you can turn on and off.
That's it, yeah.
And he just feels he wants that one last swan song. Because let's be honest, in Apollo's mind, he helped Rocky in Rocky 3, but he still did lose the championship in Rocky 2.
Yeah.
And since then, he hasn't really. I don't think he's been doing much boxing. I don't think he's done any boxing.
Well, no, he's been retired, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's retired. So he just feels. But Apollo's a bit old now.
Well,
And
how,
look,
how old would he have? I don't know whether they actually say any ages or anything,
I'm
but
not
I mean,
sure,
you're
but there's
talking
a big age gap there.
You're talking to
By
probably what
1985,
40
it'd
odd,
be like probably about 40 or
yeah,
late
ish,
30s.
yeah.
It's you see
See,
a
boxing is ancient.
I don't know. It's great, and the opening, so the fight starts, and before the fight starts, we have James Brown.
So great.
James Brown coming to America,
Such a good
Living in-
intro.
living
living in America. Sorry,
That's Eddie Murphy.
that's Eddie Murphy. Can you imagine? And it's so
Morning, my
American,
neighbours.
so over the top.
The hat, the shorts, everything.
The bull that breaks apart
the
behind
set,
him.
The set for this fight is incredible. Yeah, the huge Russian bull breaking apart.
It's so funny.
Dancers. It's crazy.
It seemed like Apollo and James Brown got on pretty well. They seemed to, they knew each other in the universe. Poor James Brown, I think he's probably looking forward to that fight, wouldn't he? Like, I got probably ringside seats and did a bit of a song, and he probably saw. Well, let's come to what happens in a
I
minute.
reckon
But
as a little kid as well, this was my first exposure to James Brown.
yeah.
When we saw Rocky 4 when we were little.
Well, Rocky 4, my first Rocky, and I was like, well,
Yeah.
Actually, no, I missed all of that bit because by the time I started watching Rocky 4, something could happen.
Oh no. Well, it's supposed to be an exhibition fight, so it's not a prop. There's no title on the line.
You don't hit each other. You just
it's a
flap.
friendly.
You just flap a little bit. Bit of
We'll just
flapping.
move around a bit. You jab me, I jab you.
Yeah,
Be
a
a
bit
nice
of
friendly
flapping.
bout, and then hopefully Apollo will just win it in the end, with a nice little knockdown. But it didn't quite go like that. The round starts. Actually, to be fair to Apollo, he gets a few jabs.
Well, I
in.
like that whole bit where obviously when Drago, he looks like he's a cage kind of, like you get like you cage an animal too long.
yeah.
You cage
Oh, yeah, he's
him.
like
And
he's
it's
in
like,
the ring, isn't he? In the
he's
dark
spooked.
while everything else is happening,
Yeah,
and then he comes
yeah,
up,
and he's
like,
all
"What
spooked,
is
and it's
all
like
this?"
he's spooking him. He's spooking him. He's like, ooh,
This is different.
ooh, something's going to go down.
Yeah, I think the idea, and this is the part that really works well because of the flamboyance and everything like that. They're essentially just trying to put him off his game, aren't they? They're just essentially trying to make him feel as uncomfortable
they're
as
actually
possible.
riling the beast.
Yeah, to know. Well, little did they know though. I think the obviously the idea was we'll put all of this on, make him feel just so far away from home and so out of his zone that this will be a walkover. It would look so easy, and obviously the total opposite happened because he just had like stone focus, didn't he?
Yeah.
It was at no point. I mean, you see him when he comes out the floor, like he's looking around, like a bit like what the hell's going on. But I think apart from that, he's kind of like he doesn't see anything but the fight in front of him, which is what's so scary about Ivan Drago. He's just like laser focused, isn't he?
Apollo, in his defense, does say he feels born again. I can almost eat nails.
Yeah. No. Oh yeah. No, I never tried it. What snails? No, nails.
nails. I feel okay.
I've had escargot. It's quite nice.
yeah.
L'escargot.
I see him in the garden, but never fancy eating them.
Yeah, that's it.
I love that. I love those two. I love Rocky and Apollo Creed. I think they're brilliant together. Unfortunately, the next bit of the film is very sad. The first round is soul destroying. It should have been called off. The first round,
stop the fight. Yeah.
the referee should have said that's enough because the round went and Apollo.
And why don't they stop the fight?
Because of pride.
Apollo's pride.
No,
but why?
because Apollo said to Rocky, "Don't you dare throw in that towel."
Yeah, but
before
why
that
doesn't
point,
he?
They should have already
Like,
stopped. He
why
should have
doesn't he throw
realised.
it? Like he can.
Yeah.
This is a bit that's always like played on my kind of emotions. Is like why didn't is he doing it because?
He told him
Because he told him not to. And he,
No, I know,
Apollo
but
would
he
never
can
have forgiven
see.
him.
He
No,
can
yeah.
see.
And he knows that if it had been the other way round, he wouldn't have wanted him to throw the
Oh,
towel.
I know, but it's like you can just see he's
That's
almost
fighters.
on his last
fighters,
legs.
man. Fighters.
Yeah. Heavy product placement here.
We're
as well.
gladiators. We're champions.
With the Hugo Boss.
Oh yeah.
So cool. Let's go in it.
Wearing Hugo Boss.
Not so subtle.
Yeah, it's very, very not subtle. Sorry, go on.
I just
Shimmying.
round one ends. There's a great scene actually. Apollo is like almost he's half dead
He's in
already.
shock, isn't he, though,
He's in
as well,
shock,
like-
and he looks at his wife,
Yeah.
and she's just giving this
Oh,
look.
yeah.
So, what are you doing? This is ridiculous. And he's like, "Don't worry, I got this." And it's so sad.
So sad.
And little did we know at the time, Apollo's been playing away. So he's been a bit naughty to his wife, hasn't he? Because
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah, we don't find that out till years later.
we don't find out 2 years later.
Yeah, we don't, yeah.
But I think it's important just to say,
Does come as a bit of a shock, mind. Yeah.
yeah.
But a kind of a good shock in a way, maybe. Anyway, we'll come to that.
The fight, the second round is even worse. Some of the blows Apollo gets, it's crazy. And the way there's a final punch, he falls like
Matt,
a tree.
you know
being-
he's dead.
And he twitches on the
Oh,
floor
it's
for
the
a little bit.
twitching.
Yeah.
That's awful.
It's so well done.
Can somebody
Yeah.
get a doctor?
Yeah, it's horrible.
Well, I
No
think
doctors
the horse
helping
is
out.
bolted, isn't it?
Oh,
by
and
that point.
Rocky's holding his head in his arms. Oh, God.
I don't like that bit. It's sad, but I quite like how it zooms into
It's well
Drago's face. It's like literally so like, just see his eyes, don't you?
And then
Say it.
if he dies, he dies.
But like, how on earth has he got away with saying that?
It's not his mother tongue, I guess. He could argue he wasn't totally sure the context of what he was saying.
It's pretty
I just
straightforward.
need real man.
I mean, I don't know. It's so cold though, isn't it? He literally lays him out.
It is,
like,
but but then it's the plot, the point
Yeah.
of the story and the plot to make you hate him.
the vengeance
And-
then
yeah.
kind of boils over, and
Yeah.
that's when they the zoom into Rocky's face, and then
Oh, I know.
and then into Drago's face, and you're like, you've done it now.
Again, like we were talking about before, when one of the earlier films, when you watch it back when you're older, you see it and you feel more sympathy for Drago.
Yes.
You can see the way he's being used and all the rest of it. He's
just a puppet, yeah.
When you're young and you see that, and he dies. He's like,
How dare he?
Rocky must kill him.
There's a funeral scene, and then there's there's a music video.
The music in this film. That's
No-
the best. That's the best.
No
Rocky
Easy
montage
Way
in this
Out.
Film. It has the best soundtrack
Yeah.
of probably any film ever.
Yeah.
That's
No
the
Easy
best
Way
Rocky
Out.
montage. No easy way out.
He's got
Yeah.
a Lamborghini Countach.
He has
by
that
now.
little. He has that mini argument with Adrian.
Yeah,
real
while
quick,
she's on the stairs.
And
Well,
she's-
that's more than a mini argument.
isn't it? How long are they actually arguing for?
Well, she basically says, "You can't win."
no, it's very quick.
yeah.
It's very quick. You
Yeah.
can't win.
You can't win.
But
And then
then,
he gets in
he's
the
got to do
car.
some thinking in the car. Now
Yeah.
he can drive. He's going
There's
to be doing
no
some
easy
thinking.
way
No
out.
easy way out.
And everything. All the flashbacks, great.
Yeah.
That's a great montage.
It's a great scene, that, isn't it? Yeah.
That's a great. You just keep on watching.
I
that.
love
It's
it.
pretty crazy.
And then obviously, Drago agrees to fight Rocky. I think that's what he always wanted to do, or his team wanted to do, but on one condition. Well, two conditions: in Russia and on Christmas Day,
and for
we'll
no
ruin
and
your
for,
Christmas.
Christmas Day.
and for no money.
and for no money. There's no. I don't even know if the belt's on the line. I'm not totally sure.
Well, no, because
No, it's
I
just.
don't think it is. No.
Because an exhibition,
is
so
it?
it was a nothing.
It's mad.
because it's unsanctioned, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's
so. Yeah, there
unsanctioned.
couldn't be belts on the line anyway.
But it's avenging the death of a dear friend.
Even though that's not the headline, but that's everybody knew that's what it
Imagine
was.
what Rocky would do to avenge Paulie if he sadly died for some reason. He would go,
Nothing. You do bare nothing. Give him a watch. give him a posthumous.
Give him a broken pinball machine.
Rocky 4 though, that's when Paulie gets proper comedy, doesn't he? Falls in the snow.
Oh
Remember?
yeah, that is deep. Snow.
Okay, that is a little
to
bit
be fair,
slapsticky.
I
Yeah.
would probably fall over in that snow. It's very deep.
Where was that film? It's something like in Canada somewhere.
It wasn't
weird.
filmed in Russia. It was actually filmed.
They
Oh,
wouldn't
in
have been
Soviet
able to
Russia,
get-
no.
No, yeah. It was like, sorry guys, can we just go behind your curtain and
Little link actually, Angry Video Game Nerd, so back to gaming. He actually he found the location of the Rocky 4 mountains, and you're right, I think it is in the US somewhere. It might be Canada,
okay.
I can't remember exactly where it was.
is it in the Rockies?
Good one. I don't think it is. But you're right, they actually found all the scenes and stuff. It's very
Yeah,
cool.
that is cool.
But when he goes there first, it's him, Tony Duke, the trainer, Polly the old
Yeah,
trainer.
yeah. Duke.
I love Duke. Paulie, and that's it. That's their small entourage. No, Adrian, she's not there.
Nope.
No, she says you can't win.
You can't win.
You can.
I love it. He trains quite well at the start, and he's
wait,
got those
wait, and they get off what's playing when they arrive in Russia.
This
Two worlds can run.
that's it.
Burning Heart.
Yeah,
Burning Heart by Survivor, yeah.
Yeah.
Which sounds exactly the same as Eye of the Tiger, just with different words.
And you can tell
They
time
didn't
is
have much range.
time
No.
is ticking along because of Rocky's crazy beard, isn't it? He gets a beard throughout.
It does, yeah.
Yeah.
Love that
It
beard.
looks a bit weird. It looks a bit fluffy.
It does. It does at first because you're just not used to it.
No, I know, exactly,
Alone
yeah.
with a big bushy beard.
Great big bushy.
He's training okay. He's got the focus, but then luckily for him, Adrian has a change of heart, and she turns up.
Yeah.
And that's when things go to 11. And you're seeing at the time there's some great montages here. It's
Oh, the
Ha-
training montage. Come on.
Yeah, training
half
montage
the movie's a montage, but
is
It is,
epically
Half
good.
the movie? 3/4 of the movie.
it's either montages or music videos.
Yeah.
Drago's training as well, but he's training with like futuristic latest equipment.
Futuristic drugs.
Drugs.
Yeah, it's really
Sorry.
obvious that he's roiding.
Yeah.
He is.
He's on the juice, mate. He's on the juice, big time.
But nature is in Rocky's. He's Rocky's ally, isn't he? He uses nature to. He uses the mountains. So cool. Some of the things Rocky can do, or Stallone could do in Rocky 4.
Oh my god!
Uh,
when he's doing those, where they've got his legs and he's
He's
bending all
so
the
he's
way
got-
back, like the dips.
I don't-
and
He's,
like-
he's got his shoulders and his head, and he's holding the edge of the table, and he's essentially pivoting his
Yeah, his
entire
back, like,
body
bends
on
all
his
the way
shoulders.
over. It's
That is
insane.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
There's actually it's funny you say that, because I remember there was a group of guys on YouTube who were into calisthenics. You know, this thing where you use your own body weight
Yeah,
to
yeah.
exercise, and they had like two or three of their guys try and recreate some of the pull-ups and stuff that he was doing. And even they, who are like really good at this stuff, even they were saying it's a really, really difficult set of exercises. Like you've got to have muscles developed in places that you don't normally develop them in to do things like especially the bending on the table, like we were just talking about, and then the pull-ups over the edge of the barn, like top of the barn or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, for them to say that, do you know what I mean?
That's incredible.
It's like ultimate respect.
It's a great
Painful.
montage. It's lovely. It's great. It builds up to the big fight. And the big fight is wow, I didn't fancy Rocky's chances, I'll be honest.
Well, who did?
Wow. And it's a great fight. Ivan Drago's great in it, isn't he? He's so powerful. And Rocky just never gives up. He just keeps fighting through it.
Well, he starts to try and he starts to try and take him down with body shots, doesn't he? So he gets him in the corner and starts hacking away at his midsection. And who is it that says it? It's like Paulie, isn't it? It's like chop him down, like this. And he just pushes him back out, and he's like laughing at him, like come on in, but he still carries on. Like you'd be like totally demoralised if you're there giving your best shots to the body, and we know Rocky's body shots are like crippling.
They are.
And he's just like laughing at him. Like most people would be like, "Oh, there's no way. I'm just gonna like ride this one out." And he carries on going.
And that kind of determination actually changes the crowd. It's like you, Keith. You support Liverpool, but if an opposition plays really well,
you start supporting them.
Yeah, I'm a fair weather fan. Yeah.
This was
When it's a Merseyside derby and Everton are like overpowering you, you're like,
I'm
woo,
like,
Blues.
Up for the toffees.
Up the toffees. Is that what they say?
all that hurts.
Toffees.
It hurts to say that, doesn't it?
oh man, I mean it's a bit silly,
Toffee, man.
but Rocky deserves respect, and he did give a good speech that helped end the Cold War. Let's
He
be honest.
ended the
You
Cold
can
War.
change, and I can change. and
Everyone can change.
We can all change. Everyone can change.
Change.
That's my dad. What do you think we are, nerds?
Dad. I mean, this is awful. That poor child. Now we'll talk about what happens to him, but he gets abandoned for Christmas.
No.
His mum goes as well.
Yes, he's got the
They
robot as
just
a
leave him.
babysitter.
The robot is looking after him.
Not even Uncle Paulie's there.
Terrible parenting.
We'll talk more
Christmas.
about Rocky Sunday.
Terrible.
Rocky
We
5.
will.
Terrible parenting or great robot?
Great robot.
Ooh, there's
Right.
a pod.
So
Right, before we go on, because I've just been scrolling on my phone trying to find it. The bit before the fight starts, Paulie is my favourite Paulie moment.
go on.
And the only bit where you go, oh, right. So this is the quote. He says to Rocky, "I know sometimes I act stupid and say stupid things, but you kept me around. And other people would have said, drop that bum. You gave me respect. You know, it's kind of hard for me to say these kind of things because it ain't my way. But if I could just unzip myself and step out and be someone else, I'd want to be you. You're a heart rock." He says that to him.
Love Paulie.
Well, he
It's
gives
like
him.
the first time he acts.
Yeah, he gives him a kiss as well, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Before he goes into the ring, like just before he comes out for the ring walk, I think, isn't it?
Yeah.
And he gives him a hug and
No,
a kiss, and
That's
he's
it.
like,
That's
"I love you,
that's
Rock."
the first time in like 4 films where you finally like.
But then is that not? Does that then not kind of give everyone the sense that Rocky's given him all of those chances, and finally, Paulie's kind of come a little bit good,
Oh, bless him.
a little
Maybe,
bit.
but I do love that
Still-
moment.
still not sure.
Sorry, no.
Well,
I said maybe. I didn't
not-
say he did. I said maybe.
Unfortunately, Paulie's back in the bad books in Rocky 5, but we'll talk about that a bit
Well,
later.
yeah, he's had his moment.
Oh man, it's a great end. It's a real iconic scene when he's got the American flag over his shoulder, he's
Oh,
lifted up
it's
to the
such a great
sky.
shot. Yeah,
They pause it there. Tony Duke's in the background. He's basically won the world, and I mean, I think they could have ended the film. Maybe Rocky going to Apollo's grave. Maybe I don't know, but I suppose that is a good ending. But quick views on Rocky 4.
Well, before we go on, I just want, especially again, I mentioned it before, the music in Rocky 4, it's just perfect. So yeah, No Easy Way Out, Hearts on Fire during the training montage in the snow, Burning Heart, obviously, but the instrumental stuff, training montage,
Yeah.
The church of
and
training
War,
montage,
which is
yeah.
the tune that plays
Yep.
during the Vince DiCola,
Vince DiCola, yeah.
who he's not done a lot else really apart from, but 1985 Rocky 4, and then 1986 he did all the instrumental stuff for Transformers the movie. And I've listened to both those soundtracks so many times over the years. Absolutely amazing
It's
stuff.
so intense, aren't they?
Amazing.
That training montage is nuts. Again, that's another one in the top It's like kind of
It's
people's
just
top 10 for
perfect.
gym tunes,
Yeah,
definitely.
but again, it elevates the film, the music.
And the editing in the film is pretty good as well, I think, in my
Yeah,
'cause
yeah.
the music and it goes really well, doesn't it?
Age, can I drop a little story in here?
Please.
Because I know you're normally hijacking me, but there's something which I think you've forgotten.
Go on, spill
Which
the beans.
I can't believe you've forgotten this, which I think is quite funny and quite good, quite cool. So, do you remember when we were? I think it was the second year of primary school.
No, yeah. Oh,
Primary
blimey.
school, secondary school. Sorry, so you, like year 8 version now. I think it was the second year of secondary school. And do you remember what? You know what I'm going to say?
We put a play on, didn't we?
We did.
It's ridiculous when you think. Yeah.
We literally we put the whole thing together ourselves, didn't we? Because there was there a talent show, I think, or something?
Oh, it was
there
like
was a
an
yearly talent show.
Yeah.
And it was you, me. There was a couple of other guys as well from our year group, and we were like, right, we're going to do Rocky 4.
Why don't I remember this?
We did Rocky 4.
We did.
Yeah,
We did in front of you guys. We would have done it.
Yeah, we did. We did Rocky 4, and I think what we did was I think we like combined. I think we combined like 3 and 4. I think we did like a really like quick whiz over of 3 and 4 because there was Eye of the Tiger in it, and literally, I'm not even kidding you. I recorded. This is so stupid. So my dad got the vinyl. He had the vinyl of Eye of the Tiger because he did DJing back in the day, and he played it on a record player in like our front room, and I recorded it on a cassette, right? And we took it, and I took also I recorded like No Easy Way Out and stuff like that, and I recorded all these songs, and we had someone there at the side playing them as we did the scenes, and I can't remember who was who. I'm pretty sure I was Drago and you were Rocky.
It's so, and actually, I remember it really well because this was some sort of talent show thing. And apparently, what you did in talent show when they were being used in celebration evening, but they put this.
That's it.
They put a clause in saying, "Oh, all the things in talent show can go to the celebration evening, apart from any plays. No plays are allowed. Music things are allowed. So we weren't allowed. We weren't allowed to do Rocky 2 or Rocky 4. I mean, in front of all the parents.
No, we weren't. No, we did it for the school. Like we did it for the school, but we couldn't. Like for
Can you
the
imagine
talent
being
show.
a teacher going, "What the hell are they doing up there?"
Yeah, but do you know what?
In your defense, I don't remember it, which means that from school you only remember the really cringy bad things.
True.
And the fact that we didn't remember it must mean that it must have been good.
Well, it's funny because like
thank you.
afterwards, people were like, "Oh, that was really cool." Like it must have been cool in like a geeky, silly
wish
way.
I remembered it.
And it was, yeah, I remember us rehearsing it as well. Like we
Oh,
were
I
doing
do.
it like punch
Yeah.
for punch and everything. It was so stupid.
Appreciate you reminding me.
I
Yeah,
remember Dan Harper's Mist.
Yes, just say that. We were busy making our own film. I
Yeah,
guess,
we were
that's
making
why.
our own movies.
Dan Harper's missed.
Yeah, anyway, that's enough about that.
Oh, that
Rocky
was
4, the new edit. Well, Stallone actually made a new edit, a re-edit of Rocky 4. He could have just used our one, couldn't he?
he could have done. Yeah, it would have been great. I think.
Have you guys seen the
I still
new
haven't seen it.
Rocky versus Drago? It's good. It's a whole different kind of feel to the film. I think I still prefer the original, if I'm being completely honest. I think it's part of that time, isn't it? Rocky 4.
Yes. Yeah.
Any final thoughts on Rocky 4 before we kick off Rocky 5?
Definitely a sign of the times. Definitely very 80s. Great music. Some silly
Yeah, I mean,
moments.
it barely touches 90 minutes, does it? But it's
Yeah, I think it's 80
half
minutes,
of that is
yeah.
montages and music videos.
Yeah.
But it's always like it's over like that. Like
In
it
my
never
opinion,
drags.
yeah.
It's
In my opinion, and I'll share my opinion properly later, it is as entertaining as Commando. And that's high
Ooh.
praise.
Well, that is really high praise.
That's high praise.
So there's literally every minute it's entertaining.
Every
All right,
minute.
all right,
like,
all
you
right.
can't take your eyes off it.
All right, Dill, let off some steam.
You can't take it.
Well, Stallone had a big job to follow that with Rocky 4, and he decided that with his next installment, Rocky 5, which I think came out in 1990, that he'd sort of scale it back a little bit, make it a bit more raw and gritty, a bit more like the first two Rockies. So he wanted to kind of bring back, let's call it, drama.
Wanting to cut back on the entertainment.
Yes, reduce the entertainment. Too much entertainment.
But I think you've hit the
saying
nail on the
that,
head.
the first few minutes of the film, you do get to see Stallone's bottom. So that does, in the shower scene, to be fair.
I'd erased that image from my memory, but you've now reminded me again. Thanks for that.
Do you remember he was shaking in the shower?
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
like, I just want to go home, Mick. I just want to go home. And then basically Tony Duke's in it for like literally a minute, isn't he? You did it for Apollo's legacy. Then Adrian comes in and he comes back. I don't know how long he's been in Russia for, but he comes back and his son must have aged about 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very stressful when your dad has to go to Russia.
That's what leaving you alone for Christmas does to you.
I know the timelines in the Rocky universe are skew if at best. They don't always make sense, especially the ages of Rocky's son, Robert. We haven't spoke about Rocky's son too much. He's not really a main player in the first 4 Rocky films, is he? He's in and out of them. But in Rocky 5, he's almost like the second big main character in it.
Yeah.
I should remember. I can't remember his name now, but he sadly passed away. It's actually Stallone's Sage Stallone. He sadly passed away a few years ago, but he played the role. And I'm going to say it now. I think he did a good job, Sage Stallone. I think he was good as an actor in Rocky 5. I don't know much about him as a person, but I did think he sort of found it hard to live in his dad's shadow for a bit. Who wouldn't? Who wouldn't?
Well,
Sly Stallone.
Look who you
Yeah, I mean, but it basically, spoiler alert, Rocky comes back to... he goes back to his roots, and he unfortunately loses all his money. And how does he do that?
keep his face palming big time.
Yeah.
Paulie sort of took control of the family's finances.
Why did he let Paulie take control of the finances?
And
why did Adrian not say no?
No, Paulie, just no.
Just don't do it.
Paulie never wanted them to lose the money. It wasn't anything
he's
malicious.
just an idiot.
Well, I know, but they lose everything. Maybe I think it's dodgy. Didn't pay taxes.
It's tax.
It's tax related.
He has a huge tax
I thought their accountants swindled him, didn't they?
Yeah,
it? So
moving
it's
money
got
around.
swindled.
It's something weird going on. But basically, they lost everything. They had to move back to the streets of Philly. The only thing
That's making it gritty.
Thus making it gritty. The only thing they have now really is this old house that I think they had in Rocky 2, and also Mickey's gym, who that was left to Rocky's son in his will, in Mickey's will, because sadly Mickey obviously has passed away. We know that, but it does try hard to scale up back the film, then make it a bit more raw, emotional damage. You see lots of his motorbike being auctioned off and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's quite sad, really, and it basically Rocky has to get back up there. So he thinks. Well, before he gets to that, actually, he goes to the gym, doesn't he? It's completely worn out. And there's a really interesting, I think one of the best scenes in all the Rocky films. I'm sorry, I'm going to say it. There's a really good flashback scene, which is obviously filmed for Rocky 5, but him and Mickey.
Oh, yeah. The Mickey scene, yeah.
He's still alive, at the time, Burgess Meredith was still alive, and he looks a bit older, obviously. I think he died soon after this scene. But it shows, get up. Do you know what I mean? He gives him that cufflink.
That's it, yeah.
Well, I'm going to be an angel on your shoulder, Get up, you son of a bitch, because Mickey loves you. And it's really quite powerful, and I think that's supposed to be around the sort of the second fight in Rocky 2, the Apollo Creed fight. But that's what I think Rocky needed, that's kind of that push. And he reopens Mickey's gym. It's going all right. He's making a few bucks. At the time... Rocky's still a big name. He's just defeated Ivan Drago. Yeah. Don King, or should I say...
Don King, yeah.
George Washington Duke, he keeps pestering the family so we can get this fight. We want you to fight the current heavyweight champion, Union Kane. Probably one of the worst heavyweights in the history of the Rocky universe. Yeah. Is that fair? Yeah. Union Kane is terrible, I'm sorry. But he can't do it. Rocky's got brain damage,
yes. And we're not surprised after getting a clash.
No, and even Rocky can't deny that, can he? Let's be honest. No. The doctors have said it really clearly. If you fight again, your life's in danger, and he has to retire. But that doesn't stop the Duke, does he? He keeps pestering and pestering. No. Eventually, though, a new character comes on the scene. And he finds Rocky in his new redone gym.
He wants to be trained. Come on, Rocky.
Tommy the Machine Gun, played by Tommy Morrison.
The late Tommy Morrison.
The late, and actually, he actually gets a bit of stick for his acting. I actually think he does a good job. I'm defending.
He was just a boxer.
Yeah.
I'm defending Rocky 5 a bit now because people hate this film. A lot of people hate it. I
don't hate it.
Dylan loves it. So, but I'm going to defend it a bit.
Hate it,
just because you don't hate it, you automatically love it. Yeah.
But Tommy turns up, and he's obviously had a bad childhood. He kind of talks about that a bit, and he sort of gets taken into the family. I think Rocky lets him live with them, and but Rocky's not paying any attention to his son. His son has been built. He's had
bullied at school.
Bullied at school. Tommy's the new kind of son. It seems like
the new kid on the block. Yeah.
And obviously,
he even starts to wear an earring, so you can tell he's really having a tough time.
He's a badass. I know. Obviously, Robert's jealous of Tommy. I get it completely. I can see it.
But Rocky can't see it.
Rocky can't see it.
See it.
I'm not as dumb as I think I am. That's kind of play it.
I'm not as dumb as you think I am.
Nice.
We'll come to that scene in a minute. But Tommy and Rocky get on really well, and he's learning a lot. And he's smashing. It's a good montage, actually. Really on 90s kind of rap music. He's smashing through opponents. And this unknown fighter that Rocky's training soon becomes one of the most respected fighters out there.
Yeah.
And George Washington Duke, he's not dumb. He sees an opportunity. We can't fight Rocky, but we can fight Rocky's robot.
Don't all fight promoters.
I know, right?
That's what they do. They see that and they go, money.
Tommy's a bit wet behind the ears. He wants to do the title fight, basically. I want to do it. I want to make some real money. Rocky's like, no, we're still building up. We're still learning. I'm on Rocky's side. I think Rocky's right. I think Tommy has still a bit to learn.
Yeah.
But eventually, Tommy's like, you train me or don't train me, but I'm going with Duke. You know, I want to fight.
Yeah,
I want
he
to
gets his head turned.
completely.
Likes fast women and fast cars.
I know, right?
Us we're in a faster car.
Yeah.
They kind
And I
of
think it's the other way around.
Faster
say
cars
them-
and
Faster women. That's
Hey,
just remember that scene in Rocky 5. So, Mickey gives the cufflink to Rocky. Yeah, and we see it in the previous movies. And he was about to give that to Tommy. Do you remember around for Christmas?
yeah.
I'm going to give this to Tommy.
Yeah.
How about give it to your son, like Robert? But anyway, just before he was going to give it to Tommy, they have a big argument. Tommy zooms off, and Rocky, I think he's still got damages in his brain. He sort of falls to the ground, and Adrian's like, "What are you doing? You know, you're losing us, Rocky. You know, Tommy's taking you for a ride, and then." Oh, it's so sad, really. It's real rock bottom there.
it all unravels, doesn't it? The whole thing just kind of collapses.
And there's a great scene where I think they're in the basement of the house and they're watching the Tommy fight. Tommy does fight Union Kane. And actually, to be fair to Tommy, he does destroy Union Kane. So maybe he was right all along. But Rocky, right at the end, Tommy's like, I've got one person I want to thank. He's helped me get to this place. I couldn't have been here without him. And then Rocky's like,
Oh, yeah.
getting ready just to, I want to thank George Washington Duke. And that was literally the dagger, wasn't it?
That was it, man.
That's the last straw.
That was
But
that.
when Tommy did win the championship, he got booed. The fans don't like him. You know, good fighter. They don't like him. He hasn't got the heart of Rocky. They feel like he treated Rocky really badly. They goaded him, and they're like, "You need to fight Rocky. You need to go now." Literally the day, I think it's just after the fight, go to the bar wherever Rocky is and get him out there, taunt him, get that fight set. And they go to I think Rocky goes to the pub with Paulie. They're having a bit of a laugh, few drinks. Just getting the mind of things, and all of a sudden you hear it, don't you? Rocky Balboa, and then I love this bit when Paulie goes, when he comes out, and Paulie kind of tries. There you go, another thing that Paulie does. He defends him. They get into a big fight, and then basically Tommy punches Paulie, isn't it? What does he say?
I can't remember.
He goes, what do you say? He says something like, why don't you try and you knock him down? Why don't you try and knocking me down?
Oh yeah, that's it. Yeah.
And then Tommy's like, in the ring, and Rocky's like, my ring's outside, and they took it
And you're
outside.
like,
Good street fighter.
And then
Good street fighter.
I don't know how that. Well, there's obviously camera crews. I think they were filming. They knew that Tommy was going to talk to Rocky. And then Robert runs in to see his mum. Dad's on TV. It's almost like a fight on TV. And they actually filmed the street fight. It's proper gritty. There's actually kicking going in. There's not. There's actually all sweep. He sweeps the leg, doesn't he? Does sweep the leg.
Sweep the leg.
Karate Kid style. It's great. I like that bit in the film. And they have a big fight.
It's really dark though, isn't it?
Dark. It's gloomy. Rocky doesn't win anything. He's still rock bottom. Really, he hasn't got any money.
Yeah.
You just taught him a lesson.
He taught Tommy a lesson, and he kind of got his pride back. And that's the end of Rocky 5. And then we had that nice score by Elton John, "The Measure of a Man," and that's it. Rocky 5 done.
Old Elton in a Rocky film. Who'd
Why-
have thought
why-
that one, eh?
Why don't people like Rocky 5? Why does it divide the room?
Well, look at the first four. So if you look at the first four, there's almost like a little bit of a formula, isn't there? Yeah. So you have a scene. It's like any Hollywood film, and there's a basic formula to kind of every film. Obviously, the Rocky films do it slightly differently, but there's a nice kind of settled backstory. There's a problem. There's an issue. There's struggle. Yeah. There's a bit of victory. Then there's a knockback. Yeah. And then there's a victory at the end. Whereas this one, and it's represented by different characters, and then you have the fights, you have the prep for the fights, etc., etc. So everybody knows kind of not what's coming, but you know the formula, yeah, and you kind of look forward to it because you want to see who's next, who's the character, how does he do the fight, etc. Whereas this one is I think they completely turned it on its head and were like, right, we need to kind of go a bit more Rocky 2 in terms of the struggles, the slow burning, the fact that he's, you know, on his backside. He hasn't got the money. He's not got the influence. You know, yes, he's still a big name, but, you know, he's a little bit kind of more down and out than he was, you know. I think maybe they kind of milked that. Maybe they went a little bit too hard. And I think some people lost a bit of, they didn't see it as a Rocky film. They saw it more of like a standalone, like spin-off story, if you like. Something I don't necessarily think they connected with the formula of the story. I think because they went a little bit off, you know, off piste as it were, versus the other 4 films. Right. But it's each to their own. It's really each to their own because I know people that really like it, you know, and I mean it's got its place. I wouldn't say I love it. I like it.
I love it, clearly.
Yeah, clearly. But yeah, I wouldn't say I love it because I can. But it's definitely got its place, and I definitely think it belongs there. And I definitely would never say, "Oh, I hate Rocky 5 because it's different to the other films."
Yeah, I don't hate it. It's one of those where when you go back, I fancy watching a Rocky film. It's not going to be at the top of the list.
Yeah.
But there's some good character development, and you know, I think it suffers, especially compared to the film that precedes it. The highs are so high in that film and the lows are so low, like the peaks and troughs in Rocky 5, even though it was all cranked up, like Apollo's death, the training montage, and then you come to this where it's just a bit down a bit and then it's a little bit up a bit at the end. And do you know what I mean? It's very dull. It's like boop, boop, whereas like Rocky 4 is like beep, beep, beep.
There aren't any extremes.
No.
Yeah.
And so it's not very exciting. It's not very memorable.
But it's a good story.
It suffers by comparison from the previous couple of Rocky films.
It's just a bit dull.
Okay.
It is.
It's not that entertaining.
But then the second film was accused of that from the outset, wasn't it?
Yeah, again, I feel the same way about the second movie.
Yeah, but then everybody's got, you know, then will be other people that will say actually, oh, the story number 2's great, you know, it's riveting. So I think, but that's the joy of film, though, isn't it? And the fact that you can each sit there and go, you know, I love it for this, and then another person will go, oh, I didn't like that, but I love this, you know, and it's all down to perception, isn't it?
The thing about it as well, it's easy for us now in 2023 to look back at the whole saga, but you've got to remember, like when they make these films, this is a film. You've got to be able to just go and watch a film, and if you already love Rocky and you've invested in the film and the series, then you go and watch Rocky 5 and appreciate the character development and where he's been and what's happening to him now and all the rest of it. But if you're just going to watch that as a standalone film in 1990, you're like, this is boring.
I think
do you know what I mean? Without an attachment to the characters.
Yeah.
And I know that is true. There's obviously lots of films now they make that are all interconnected and follow on from each other. But if you haven't got an investment in the characters in that film, there's nothing in that one to make you go, oh, yeah.
No, but they went, and that's what they've done. They've done a bit of a gamble because they've gambled on character development over the action. So they've taken, whereas all the other 4 films have got a lot of action in. Okay, 2 doesn't have as much, but again, the final fight is stacked with action.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, you've almost taken the fight out of the film. You know, yes, they have the street brawl at the end, but it's not a boxing match, is it?
Yeah.
So they've. That's
no,
where
it
maybe
doesn't
that's
have any
where
of the tension of the fight. So all the fights in the Rocky films have great tension.
there's no prep for the fight. There's no build up. There's no training montage song. There's no, you know, so that's missing. But you then have to rely on the character development, the story, and the grit.
Fair.
And
so,
as a standalone story, I don't think it's that great.
No, that's a fair shout.
But
I'd agree with
it
that.
fits in the series, I see its value.
It's important for Rocky Balboa. It's actually important, surprisingly, for the Creed films. Because they wouldn't really have worked properly if Rocky was in a mansion.
True.
Yeah,
no,
that's true, yeah.
Oh, no, and actually, yeah, that's a good shout because the first Rocky Balboa, where he's living,
he still
wouldn't make sense. Yeah, if he was the big man, you know, living in some massive house. Yeah, right.
I'm going to, before we move into Rocky Balboa quickly, I'm just going to kind of answer a question I'm going to ask you later, but give my answer. I'm going to ask you later which character you would love to have a spin-off movie or even a prequel or a sequel or even a kind of Cobra Kai series based on them.
Right.
And I know it's not possible because we mentioned it earlier. Sadly, the actor who played Tommy Gunn isn't with us anymore. He died very very sadly, really. I think he had a lot of issues, and I think he was wrongly diagnosed with HIV. And I don't know the whole story, but it's all a bit crazy and very sad for him. But do you know what? I actually think that's an interesting character. I think he's got more layers than quite a few of other Rocky sort of villains. Even if you want to call him a villain, really.
Yeah.
I honestly think you could do a film of him today, if the actor was still alive, obviously, and see where he is. I assume it'd be quite similar to like Johnny in Cobra Kai. Quite low,
Perhaps.
And maybe he had to get like a bit of a redemption.
It's a good shout. It's a good
I'd
shout.
love to see it. I
Because
think
it's a character which is very underappreciated, and not many people, when you say Rocky, know about him.
no.
I mean, my pick would probably be,
Well,
and it would be more of a. No, go on.
Should we do it at the end, or should we do it now?
What?
What your spin-off series?
Yeah.
Go on, let's do James's then. Go on.
Oh, have I jumped the gun?
No, don't
See,
do it.
normally it's him hijacking me.
Jump the Tommy the Machine Gun, but go for
Well,
it.
it's purely just because you said it. I think a Mickey series.
Yeah.
I don't think a film. I think a series. I think a TV series would
Yes.
work really well. And I think if they did it properly and got proper boxing people involved and made it like said it at when Mickey was maybe a bit younger and he was kind of
His
like,
boxing career.
yeah,
You
and
mean
all-
like Better Call Mickey?
Better call Mickey.
Yeah.
Might call Mickey.
And you could also have like Tony Duke in there, or like a young
Yeah.
Apollo as well. It could all be intertwined.
You could have,
It's so
but you
cool.
could. That's what I'm saying. You could have bits where they kind of cross over, and you're like, oh, it's Duke, and it would do that whole, which a TV series should do as a prequel. But I think it would work really well as a series because
Yes.
you could have, you could have little kind of crossovers and things like that. And I think that would be, and if they get a good actor to play Mickey, I think that could be a
And
real
they could
success.
how did he get the cufflink off Rocky Marciano and stuff?
There you go.
It's so cool.
And what did he used to do? And who did he train? And how did
And why does he hate chicken so much? Well, we want to know these things. I agree with that. You can answer now, or do you want to wait a little bit?
Sorry.
I've always thought, because he's my favourite character, Apollo Creed, young Apollo.
yeah.
His career coming up through like in the 60s and 70s as well.
It's got to be
I think
done.
it would be a great story of him and Duke as well.
I do. Yeah.
That would be, or a Rocky,
And whether he-
a
and
robot
whether he-
spin-off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And whether he started out maybe a bit more humble and then grew into this kind of like, lavish lifestyle lover.
What, the robot or the?
Of course, the robot. Yeah.
Oh, dear.
Yeah,
Have you?
I think for me, Apollo.
I agree. Oh, I'd love to see it. I love all these ideas. Have you got
Awesome.
one, Dilsey?
I just want to see Adrian's Revenge.
Yeah. Rocky 7, Adrian's Revenge.
Tell more.
if
Tell
someone-
more.
If someone gives me Adrian's Revenge, I'll be happy. It's Rocky 7, right?
I don't want to.
Yeah.
I don't want to be sad, but it's probably a zombie movie because
'Cause Talia
sadly,
Shire is-
no, Talia Shire's alive,
does.
but
Adrian is
Adrian
dead.
is not alive in the Rocky series.
No.
No, but that's the thing. But they could have faked her death. So actually, Talia Shire is still alive, so we could get her in for that.
Why would they fake her there?
Bill's
know.
reaching now. He's
She had-
reaching.
She had-
Paulie
she had
died.
money
I was gonna say,
problems.
She finally wanted to get away from Paulie.
She had money
Abusive
problems.
brother.
She had to do a Squid Game. Now I'm really going tangent in now. Ooh. Adrian has to do Squid Game. Adrian's Revenge.
Wow, can you imagine? I'd watch it.
You would watch it.
Do you know what? The last minute is just, what is that?
Yeah.
What even is that?
The Adventures of Cuff and Link.
Adventures of Cuff
Hey,
would.
the animated series.
Yeah.
Who are still
They could
alive.
meet up with the Ninja Turtles.
That would be
Yes.
cool. I'd watch
Get
it. And they're
trained
still
up.
alive, aren't they? Cuff and Link.
Yeah.
Even today.
Even today.
Well, look, we haven't finished our Rocky talk. Let's get into Balboa because that is arguably the final film in the Rocky series. But arguably not, because we can talk very briefly about the Creeds. But Rocky Balboa,
So briefly.
so briefly. But Rocky Balboa, or Rocky 6, as some people call it, is. I think it was supposed to be the end of the Rocky story. I think Stallone had it in
Yeah,
his mind. This
well,
was going
it
to be
was
the
like-
full stop.
16 years after Rocky 5.
That's right.
Should have won the Oscar.
He was great in it. Rocky Balboa is an interesting film. It's unfortunately we learned between Rocky 5 and Rocky Balboa that Adrian's passed away. I think through woman cancer. I think that's how Rocky described it.
Sorry, not laughing at that. Why does he call it woman cancer?
Well, I think it's to do.
It's kind of Rocky's way of.
Surely laughing at the description.
Yeah.
It's his way of describing
I
stuff,
love.
isn't it?
We don't speak. I love the way Rocky talks. you know?
Keith's just been
Yeah.
cancelled. Sorry.
Oh, that's done now. Yeah.
But Rocky and Paulie, they're kind of living life backwards. Especially Rocky. He's visiting the old haunts. He's going to the old ice rink.
Yeah.
You know, you're living backwards, Rock. You know, and he did it. I think on Adrian's the anniversary of their death, and I think it might be.
And that's why you were saying 5 is important because it's brought him back to the.
He's not in as much poverty anymore. He's got
Got a nice
a
restaurant.
restaurant called Adrian's, which is nice, and it does all right. It's an Italian restaurant. and it's all right. But I like the opening scene. We see Milo Ventimiglia.
Yep.
And he plays
Ventimiglia,
Rocky's
yeah.
son because obviously, sadly, Sage passed away between this, I believe, as well. Or maybe it was just after, actually. But I don't know. He wasn't involved. But Milo Ventimiglia is in it, and he plays he's a really good actor, in my opinion.
He does a great job. Yeah.
He plays spoilt brat quite well in this because there's a big shadow. Rocky, there's a big shadow, isn't it? And he can't really get past it. And, you know, he kind of struggles in life, Robert. He can't really find his place in the world. And his workmates tease him about his dad. And all of a sudden, this cartoon fight comes on, as Paulie described
But
it.
then he works in that building you can't see in Philadelphia, which is really funny.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
right.
yeah, the building that you can't see. Oh, he's in there. Oh,
No, it's not there.
it's
does.
there. Oh, it's not going. It's gone.
No, it's so funny, isn't it? And there's this cartoon fight between Mason the Lion Dixon, who's the main.
It's so bad. So bad.
No, but he's the current heavyweight champion.
It is,
I
yeah.
know, but the nickname.
name.
It's the name, I think. Who calls himself The Line?
The line.
Oh, I
He's
don't
the main
know.
line.
He's the main man. So they do like a cartoon simulation fight
It's
of
just like, it's a like video game. fight,
video
isn't it?
games.
Yeah.
Rocky
Antonio
versus
Tarver, isn't it?
Mason. Video game talk there. And
There you go.
And the computer predicted that Rocky would win, and
Yeah.
And at this time, when Rocky's kind of a low end, he's kind of trudging through life, and he thinks to himself, maybe I should start fighting again. And he's really old.
I think
so
he's
old.
59. I
Local,
think.
I want to fight you, local.
As an actor or in the film, he's supposed
As
to be
the
about.
actor, I think.
So he was, yeah.
I think,
Madness.
but I don't.
Yeah, no,
I don't. I don't
no,
think.
about 59.
I think it was 59. I think weird bit of stupid trivia I looked up at the time, but yeah.
He came out of retirement at stupid
He
ages
was in
as
his
well.
mid-40s, though, wasn't he?
Wow.
Yeah,
that's
he's
a bit
only,
different.
he's only our age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Rocky, you know, he wants to ask for a boxing license, you know, just a little local fight, get his sort of fighting spirit back a bit. And he has a great talk with Paulie and says, you know, I've still got some stuff in the basement. I don't remember it. What?
That's it. That's what he says, I
What,
think, yeah.
what stuff? You know, there's a beast inside me. It's so good. It's so brilliant acting. And then Paulie's like, what, you haven't peaked yet? You know, it's so cool. It's very cleverly done. And he's actually denied the license at the start. He said, no, you passed all the health checks. No more brain damage. No more bad eye. Just saying.
They're all gone.
All gone.
Whoop. Time heals
Time,
everything.
I you literally took the words out of my mouth.
But he's passed it all. But they say, no, in good conscience, we can't give you the license. And then Rocky's like, you can't, you know, that's isn't the right to be in America to have the right to do whatever you want. Blah, blah, blah. Good speech. And he got it eventually. And he got the license, and then Mason the Lion Dixon's promoters see a great opportunity from that computer fight.
That guy, his main promoter, and I can't remember his name in the film, that guy is the smarmiest, sleazy. Do you know what? He plays a boxing promoter perfectly.
Yeah, I agree. The grey haired one, the slick, he looks pretty cool, actually.
He just plays him brilliantly, and they're both just, you can see him salivating over the money. And it's like, it's just so like cringeworthy, but brilliant the way they play it.
I agree, actually. There's some good character actors in this film. And then obviously this news spreads all across the land, the media, and Rocky's son said, why are you doing this to me? You know, just
goes
when I
to
get
see him, doesn't he? Yeah.
just when I go a little bit ahead, you've got to do this. You know, I know you don't mean to hurt me, but and then Rocky gives this amazing speech. You know what I'm talking about?
now, isn't it? That
Great
that
speech.
Yeah.
I don't know the speech off by heart, but it's basically, it ain't about how hard you can hit, it's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. You know, you don't blame him or her or anybody. That's what cowards do. And it's so good. Yeah. It's such a powerful speech. It's motivational. And it actually does work for Rocky's son. It flicks a switch. Because I think he was living life in the...
I don't think his dad had ever said anything to him like that. Like, he hadn't... Kind of, Rocky was just, like, milling along, wasn't he? He was kind of like, restaurant, got my life, you know, settling down, retired. Obviously then started to go, hang on, there's something going on here. I kind of need to get a bit more active.
Yeah.
And then, like, his son actually went to see him, like, outside the restaurant or whatever one night, didn't he? And he's basically challenged him and said, look, like, almost how dare you kind of... overshadow me again. I'm trying to make a name for myself.
Exactly.
And actually, he's being a bit selfish because you can still make a name for yourself and have a famous dad. I mean, you know what I mean? You know, it's only got yourself to blame there. But because he has a go at him, Rocky's got no choice, has he? He's got no choice but to go, do you know what? I'm going to give you a bit of tough love.
It was
and
tough love.
And he
yeah.
unloads on him, doesn't he? Not in a nasty way, but he teaches him a lesson. And I think that his boy then sort of goes, oh, do you know what? Actually, maybe I've been a bit of a, you know, wally, and I've kind of stepped out of line. Maybe that's what it was, because he hasn't seen that side of his dad before, has he?
No. And actually, a lot of people do argue he's not been the best dad throughout the
Fair
Rocky
enough.
series, and I think you could argue that. That's a fair point. But that speech is iconic.
Yeah, it has been.
It's just brilliantly well written.
I used to have that mug in my last workplace, and it eventually broke, sadly. But I had it for a good number of years at my last workplace.
There's a birthday present idea then.
Sometimes in my last workplace, I had some bad days, if I'm being honest. But I'd go into the staff room, I'd drink out that mug, and the whole speech was written on the mug. It's quite blurred, really. You have to really squint to read it, but I felt good about it. I drank out that mug, and it gave me that kind of oomph to carry on. You know,
It's a great speech.
Nothing to do with the caffeine.
no,
No, that was after.
I was about to say the whiskey. No, I'm joking. No.
Whee!
Yeah, no. So
That's why the drawer was always locked.
yeah. So good. And obviously, there's a fight that comes up, and everyone thinks it's a bit of a joke fight.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, it probably would have been a complete joke fight, but there's a little twist, isn't there? Mason Lloyd Dixon, early on in the fight, breaks his hand. So obviously, he's got a big disadvantage there, and it kind of gives Rocky a puncher's chance.
Yeah.
And that's why I quite like it, even though it's a bit of an unrealistic fight in the end, really. They did try and make it a bit more realistic. And they filmed the fight, don't know if you noticed, like a proper boxing match.
This was actually for real filmed. It was off the back of another main event that was there. There was a whole card on, and then once the card had finished, they actually filmed it with real spectators. And you correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think they knew it was going to be filmed.
I think you're right. I think it's a surprise.
I think it was on, which is why the crowd obviously goes utterly nuts. Like it doesn't feel like it doesn't feel at all staged. As in, it looks like a raw piece of footage. As ESPN or whatever it is, the channel they're using, ESPN. But it feels like, and the camera angles and the lighting and everything is very raw and very almost like pay-per-view, like when you switch over to a pay-per-view, and it's how it feels. I thought that was just so well done. The way they captured that kind of, you've literally flicked over to a pay-per-view, bang, it's on the telly, and it's like, oh, this looks a bit different, and it is, yeah. And I don't think the crowd knew it, which is probably why it explains why they're all losing their minds seeing Sly and who was it, Antonio Tarver, isn't it?
It was good memory, yeah. It was
Memory.
Antonio Tarver, you're right. Really cool. I mean, it's a good film. I think it finished really well. We went to cinema together to watch it, I believe.
Yeah.
We had a lot of fun with it, and it's a good. I think, in my opinion,
the woman he befriends as well.
Yeah, that's Little Marie, who's actually in the first Rocky, isn't it? So it's all full circle.
Oh, she's the really gobby girl.
The foul-mouthed gobby girl, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
And we meet her son Steps.
It was actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
Steps is pretty cool, isn't he? Because like when you first see him, he's kind of like just a bit moody and a bit like, oh, here we go. He's got a bit of an attitude, but he's all right. He's a nice guy, isn't he? He's a nice kid.
He's quite nice. Yeah. Good film. Good ending. I do think the villain, and nothing against Antonio Tarver really, but I think he wasn't quite the same as
a bit of a nothing sort of.
Yeah, but I suppose the whole film wasn't really about the villain in a weird way.
No.
I think the funny thing is, I like to think that part of that was intentional because there's a lot of similarities. People might not see this, but I think there's a lot of similarities between 4 and Balboa in that you've got the modern versus the traditional. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So in 4, you obviously had all of the fancy new equipment, stacks of money. You had the juice, you had everything, all this equipment and all of these people and these scientists and everything. And it was all this new world versus, Marciano's world type boxing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But then you take a step forward and it's like computer generated fights. You've got the ring and the place that Mason Dixon's fighting in, like in his house, is just palatial. He's got all of these lit windows and it's just all luxury, isn't it? And it's all like he's in the modern world, and obviously the modern world's a very throwaway kind of instant gratification type thing, isn't it? Whereas Rocky's world is all very old school, grit, work hard, things take a long time to develop, I'm going to get there eventually. Whereas obviously the newer style of younger boxer, has been portrayed by him as kind of not a nobody, that's unfair, but just they all come along. There's a conveyor belt, and they all have 5 minutes of fame. Whereas those classic traditional guys, they were obviously at the top of their game for years. So I don't know whether they meant that kind of feel, but the feel between the modern and the traditional, kind of the old school, new school type comparison. That's the way I felt about him. That Mason was a bit more of a throwaway fighter.
Okay,
maybe.
interesting.
Not, I'm maybe being a bit unfair, but as a foe, he wasn't as strong as in terms of will and everything as your Apollos and your your Clubber Langs and stuff and your Dragos. But anyway,
No, fair point.
that's my tuppence.
That was supposed to be the end of the Rocky series, I think. And then a certain gentleman called Ryan Coogler persuaded Stallone to have one last dance. He wrote Creed, didn't he? And Creed is a really interesting story. I think it came out in 2015. Might be wrong.
I think you're maybe just was it? I think you might be right. Actually.
Around then,
Yeah, 15, 16.
By this time, Rocky's very old, isn't he? And he's long retired. That was his last fight, surely, in Rocky
That
Balboa.
was it. Yeah.
Adonis, we find out about someone called Adonis Creed.
Adonis Creed.
We actually see very briefly Apollo's kids in Rocky 2 running around.
Yes,
They're in it very briefly. But Adonis is the third child of Apollo Creed.
There's no Adonis there.
No Adonis
Oh,
there.
no.
And actually, Marie, Apollo's wife, knows something about Adonis for quite a long time. And how do I say it nicely? Adonis is the bastard child. Is that the right term?
Illegitimate or
illegitimate.
Yeah, of Apollo.
You want
And
to keep it clean, yeah.
he obviously Apollo was playing away. Adonis was born. Sadly, Adonis's mum died, and he was basically brought up in foster homes and juvenile prisons, and you know, he had a bad upbringing. And I can understand why. He never really knew who his dad was. I think he never knew who his dad was until one day, Apollo's wife, or widow, came and sort of rescued him, took him home, and sort of raised him like a child. And even though she's nothing to do with him, really, let's be honest.
Yeah, she didn't have to have
No,
any
I mean,
loyalty.
it's quite a big person to do.
Yeah.
Loyalty
She's the
to
woman
him,
that's
yeah.
been
And
betrayed.
he's obviously got Apollo blood in him. He's a boxer. He's mixing about in Mexico, doing the odd little fights. He's not really getting anywhere. No one wants to train him. They don't want to get him involved in his local area. So he finds a certain Italian stallion in Rocky because he knows there's a connection there. He knows that his dad. He obviously finds out who his dad is. He knows that his dad was good friends with Rocky. So he finds Rocky. Rocky's reluctant to start. I don't want to train you. I don't do that stuff no more. So there's a little link back to Rocky 5 there. But Adonis does eventually win him over. He's quite charismatic. Michael B. Jordan. We like Michael B. Jordan. He's all right. And I really quite like this. I really do actually like this film. Through his name, and I think Adonis will admit that, through his Creed name, his connections, he gets an opportunity to fight the current champion, a big Evertonian, pretty Ricky Conlon.
Tony Bellew.
Tony Bellew, yeah.
Tony Bellew.
I actually quite like Tony Bellew, I have to say. I think he's quite an interesting character. But he's about to go, not him, the character is about to go to jail through holding, I think, arms or weapons.
Yeah.
So he's got like one last fight, and then
Yeah.
he's got one last paycheck before he sort of probably has to retire. Although saying that, he might be in Creed 3. But so it's one last big fight, and he said, well, his trainer, he's a really good actor, this Scottish guy, I forget his name now. He says, we can make some money out of this Creed fight. And it's a bit of a joke, but one last fight, Rocky gets involved, then... it's actually filmed at the.
It was at Goodison Park.
it was at
yeah.
Goodison
Because isn't
Park.
Stallone at Everton?
Well,
He was
Well, he
just mates
says he
with Bill
is.
Kenwright, wasn't he?
he's mates. He's got
Yeah.
connections.
Yeah, there was that really cringe picture of him holding up an Everton scarf.
It is a bit cringy. I know, but it is what it
Keith
is.
doesn't like Everton, as we all know. So. Just in case you were under any illusions.
But as you guys know, Stallone got a lot of plaudits for this acting role in this particular film. He actually got an Oscar nomination, and apparently he was the favourite to win it. And I think he should have won it, but I'm biased.
Oh, that was the one. Sorry, yes, I was saying about the one earlier. No, that was it was Creed.
It was
that was
Creed.
and he lost out to Mark Rylance, who was in
River of blah, 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 blah.
Taylor Soldier Spy. Or whatever it
No,
was.
I don't know. Something
Was it
silly.
River of blah blah blah. Well, there you
Something
go.
boring.
There
Was
you
it
go.
boring film?
Whatever it was,
Haven't seen it.
But I think that was a bit of a kick in the balls.
He won
to
a
be honest.
golden. I think he won other awards for this, didn't? I think he won a Golden Globe.
He got a
or
Globe,
something.
I think.
He
Yeah,
won
he didn't
some
get the
big
Oscar though.
plaudits because I think Rocky. Sly's so good in this, but the best bit is when he gets ill and he really shows. Do you remember that bit?
Yeah,
He gets cancer. He doesn't want to get the treatment to start. He eventually agrees to do it, and some of the filming, he plays it so somber, doesn't overact. I think
He's got more of a range than I think people give him credit for.
excellent actor, and I think actually Rocky 5 is not Stallone's best acting. I think he's a bit over the top, goofy, silly, can't talk properly. Whereas I think Creed is up there with his acting in the first Rocky. He's so subtle.
I think
so
he's good in Rocky Balboa as well.
He's good in that as well.
Yeah.
He is good. It's the Rocky 5 where people think maybe it's a
Yeah.
little bit OTT. big fight at the end. Spoiler alert: Adonis doesn't win. He goes the distance. Echoes to Rocky 1, and all is right in the world. And they both walk up the steps at the end, don't they? It's so cool. You think that'd be the end of it, but no. There's a Creed 2, which I think is 2018. There's money to be made. Creed 2 is basically Rocky 4 Part 2, isn't it? It carries on.
Yeah.
Dylan's face.
Rob really liked Creed 2. I was like, after it, I was like, what is this?
I like it.
I don't
I'm not a
mind.
fan.
I don't mind Creed 2. I mean, it's silly and it's a bit out there. But then,
I don't mind the bit with Drago. It's just
But then
like the
wasn't-
stuff with the deafness and the deafness. Oh, come on.
So
Dill, she's deaf. What do you want?
The baby is not deaf. Oh no, the baby. Okay, well. Skip on.
I like Creed 2.
Dylan's cancelled now. That
Dylan, everybody,
That leaves two of you
But
now.
that's okay because deaf people can't cancel me because they can't hear me.
everybody. Don't ever let it be said you're not an empath, Dill.
Oh, bad.
So we've had. I'm not even going to.
No,
I'm not
tally him up.
even going to
Let's
say.
not recap why we've
No,
been
let's not recap. I'm not even. I can't. Let's
Gotta
just
keep
move
moving
on.
forward, like Rocky says.
Exactly.
Yeah. No matter how many times you get hit. Yeah.
How many times you can't hear what's coming?
Let's get back to Creed 2.
I'm going to get so much hate on the socials for this.
No, you're not. You're going to get 0 and nothing.
Dill, they can read.
Oh, man. Creed 2, Ivan Drago has been... He's no longer in Russia. I think he's been, blacklisted. He's no longer there.
Somewhere in Eastern Europe.
I think it's
aren't they?
Ukraine.
Oh, of course.
Ironic.
Yeah.
It's just very topical in a sad way. Anyway.
Yeah.
But he has a son called Victor. He has a very tough love relationship with each other. You can tell, really pushes them hard to be a boxer. And Victor is a very good boxer. He starts to win a lot of fights, and eventually it all tallies up where another promoter sees an opportunity. Victor's son versus Creed's boy. Adonis versus Drago. Rocky doesn't want to get involved in this fight. He wants to step away.
Let's dig up some old wounds, guys.
Can't do this again, you know.
Well, do you
I
blame
should
him?
have thrown the towel last. Yeah, well, I don't blame him.
I
at
mean,
all.
the most shocking moment of his life.
No, I don't blame Rocky. But sadly, Adonis almost does die in the ring. It's pretty crazy. Completely decimated.
Gets wiped out. doesn't he?
Rocky visits Adonis in the hospital. Adonis is a bit peed off, if I'm being honest. Rocky, they finally sort of agree that they can train together for this fight. They want revenge, but they have to go to the desert
They
to
have
train
go and
hard.
punch sand.
They have to punch sand
the
hard.
desert.
You gotta punch it, man.
Bridget Nielsen's in it too.
Sand is a
She is, yeah.
bastard.
Yeah, Sand's a bastard.
She's horrible.
Bridget Nielsen's in it. Yeah, she's not a very good mum. Obviously, she's the mother of Victor Drago. She's hardly seen the son. She's only interested when they're successful. It's quite sad, really.
Yeah.
There's some good character stuff there, like when it shows Drago, like he's desperate to get back in with him, and his son says to him, like, they don't care about us.
No.
You kind of lose a bit of respect for him there.
You do. I actually quite like the Drago and Rocky scenes. I think they play it where Dolph Lundgren plays it very well. I think quite kind of stoic. He's got a bit more to say in this one as well.
Yeah.
There's a big fight at the end. It's a massive fight. Spoiler alert! Another spoiler alert here. Ivan Drago actually waves the towel.
Yes.
When his son was about to get destroyed. So there's a little bit of a heart back about maybe how things could have been different in Rocky 4. And it ends with Adonis finally visiting Apollo's grave.
It should end 5 minutes before that. There's such a brilliant shot because I saw it not that long ago.
Yep.
It just happened to be on at the end of the fight. Everything's going on in the ring, obviously, with the reporters and everything. And then the camera pans out and Rocky is sat in a chair at the edge of the ring just watching. And this camera view is from behind, and he's got his little hat on,
I know.
and the jacket with Creed written on the back, and it just fades out, and he's just sitting there kind of satisfied with, and it should just end there.
That's where
The
it should
ending
have...
isn't terrible.
No.
but I
Well, it
think-
should have
I
ended
think that
like,
would have
after
been-
the first 5 minutes or something.
That would have been
It's not bad.
perfect
Oh,
ending.
I
Dill.
quite like the grave scene, and I liked it when Rocky goes to see Robert.
But
Do you
again,
remember?
what's happened between them again? Why hasn't he seen him?
Ah,
Why
right.
does Rocky not go and
Yes,
see his
no.
son?
James knows.
No, I don't. No, this is one of the things that you've just literally lit a fire. Now we get ready for this. I every time I watch the film, right? Every time I watch the film, it I always ask the question, like, what's happened between? Because obviously you watch Balboa, right? And obviously we know the situation there.
Yeah.
He's obviously been given a bit of a reality check, and he wakes up, and obviously then he's like, okay,
You think they're going to build bridges?
yeah, and they really do, because
Yeah.
he's in his corner and he's really rooting for
Yeah.
him, and you think, okay, they've really built some bridges here, fair enough. And then obviously it kind of goes on from there. But you like they must have grown apart again.
But why?
But yeah, that's the question. There's
Rocky
no
gets
real,
cancer
there's
in the
no
first one, and
explanation.
you don't see Robert. Where's
No,
Robert?
there's no explanation as to why they've kind of drifted apart.
They do.
obviously-
No.
and he
There is
won't
a little
call
hint.
him.
Remember?
Is there?
When Adonis moves in Creed 1, they said, used to be Paulie's room. And then there was a picture of Rocky and his son. And he's like, oh, what's your son doing? He's gone to Canada. He didn't like it too much. A big shadow, and he kind of hinted he needed a whole new
So he
escape.
moved away
with his
Oh,
girlfriend,
I suppose,
yeah.
you know.
So the kind of shadow thing was still an issue then, maybe.
Still was apparently a little bit, yeah.
Okay, I mean, I just always wondered, because it seemed as though they really properly
Yeah.
separated again, and it's like,
It's sad.
why did you kind of drift apart so
But
much?
at the end
and
of
not
Creed
call
2,
him?
you see him meet up again
That's right, yeah.
with Logan, which is Rocky's grandson.
Again, like
Yeah.
it's like he's meeting him for the first time. This little kiss.
Do you have a ball?
I like that though. That's a good throwback. It's
a good-
Rocky and his ball.
I know, right?
The little squash ball, isn't it?
I like Creed 2. I know it's not Dylan's cup of tea.
I like elements of it.
Keith likes elements. James likes the other elements that equals one, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gaps. You got gaps. I got gaps. You fill gaps. Creed 3, I'm going to speak for about 2 seconds. Creed 3 came out. Stallone was not involved, not happy about it, didn't have anything to do with it. It carries on Adonis' story. I've seen it in the cinema. I wanted to go again with my mates. I couldn't go the second time because there was a stabbing in Croydon. The whole cinema got closed down. So I've only seen Creed 3 once. Have you guys seen Creed 3?
Was that enough? No, I haven't seen it.
Was that
No,
enough?
no.
I haven't seen it yet.
It's actually quite watchable, but when I was watching it, I always felt like it's missing that Rocky magic. If I'm being honest, I actually enjoyed it more than I thought. I was a little bit, I'm not sure about this at the
It's just
start.
a boxing movie.
It's a boxing movie. It's got a few links back to the Rocky universe, but not enough, in my opinion. But I suppose it just carries on his story a little bit. Yeah, I don't want to talk too much about Creed 3, but it's the latest one out there. It's watchable. Look, guys, thank you for listening to our Rocky pods. Part 1 was a couple weeks ago. This is obviously part 2. We're going to finish here, but with a few final questions, a final poll, then we'll wrap things up. Is that cool?
Nice.
So, fave Rocky character and why? Really
Favourite
quickly.
Rocky character and why? Oh, I need to think about it.
I'll
Go
to-
and someone else.
I'll go to Keith first then.
Thunder Lips.
Is it honestly?
No, Apollo. Obviously, I love Rocky.
Yeah.
You know, this whole series of films wouldn't have gone on like it did if people didn't love Rocky and connect with Rocky. But Apollo Creed, man, it's just Carl Weathers is just so good. He's so cool.
He is.
So entertaining. He's my favorite. He's just too cool.
Do you need a bit more time, or should I go? Can I go to James?
Go to James. No.
So, are you want to know my fave?
Your favourite character?
My favourite
And
character.
why? In a lot of detail.
I'm gonna. Well, no, I'm gonna.
Dylan's got time to think.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I'm going to stick with who I said should have a TV series. I'm going to say Mickey.
Yeah.
Because he's such an integral part of the first 2 films.
Yes.
And he's such a bedrock of what goes on. And he's so straightforward, straight talking, straight shooting. And what I really like is also when he talks to Rocky about some of his like previous experiences and stuff like that, you can just tell there's so much story there. There's so much going on that he's seen and done. And it's just like, I just find him a really cool character. And the way he just calls a spade, like he just doesn't care who he pisses off. He just like literally says it how it is. And you know, and he's just like a really good trainer as well, because he's just gritty. He tells you how it is, and he's like, just get on with it. You know, don't mess about. We don't need all these cameras. We don't need all these bubbles or whatever it was. The thing in number 3. He's like, we don't need all that. We just need you. What does he say? He says, you and me go back to the old gym.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we get some blood and sweat and like that. And he just says it how it is. And I think he's. There's so many good characters, but I think that, you know, he maybe is a little bit underappreciated, but I think he's just such an important part, certainly the first 2 films. Yes. And then when he dies, it's like...
First 3 films.
First 3 films. Well, I suppose...
Pivotal, that.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry. I mean, in terms of developing his character. I mean, the third film is just like... it is really upsetting when he dies, because... Especially under the circumstances as well. And the way, it's awful. But, yeah, I love Mickey. I think he's brilliant. I love the actor as well. But he did so many films, and he was just, that was a kind of towards the later part of his career. But Yeah, brilliant.
I
And a
agree.
TV series.
We want a TV. Make it. Dilsey, you got all the
I
time
don't
now.
think that was in enough detail. I don't think James spoke long enough.
And the TV series should be called Mickey.
I'd say a little bit from James and a little bit from Keith there, because I still can't think of anything. Hang on, no.
Well, my answer.
I would have no. Here's my answer.
Okay.
Here's my answer. I would have said Mickey, but my second choice is for pure entertainment value is Clubber Lang.
Oh, is it?
Pure entertainment value. Every time he is on the screen, you are entertained. I guess a lot of people go like, I relate more to Apollo, or I relate to more about Rocky, and life's hard, and you got to get through it, and blah 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 blah. I'm just like, I relate with no one in any Rocky movie, so I go for pure entertainment value. Boom, Clubber Lang.
Fair enough.
Adrian, who's your?
I've got to say Rocky then for me. It's tough, but it's got to be.
We wouldn't have assumed anything
Life
else.
is tough, and you got to keep moving forward.
And actually, Rocky. No, yes. Life, yeah. So,
It's not about how hard you get hit, but something about something moving forward.
Dylan's just mumbling his way through all the quotes.
Yeah,
It's
no.
not about.
yeah, so I couldn't have said it any
We've
better.
spoken about Rocky for hours.
Yeah, it's Rocky.
And what? What's the problem?
I know, I'm just kidding.
Do you have a favourite Rocky quote?
Rocky Balboa, the Italian style.
Yeah, that one.
Favourite Rocky quote? You can press. You've got 6 to choose from.
Yo, Adrian, it's me, Rocky.
I like Clubber Lang's prediction. I've said it before.
Yeah,
That's my
Good.
favorite.
Favourite
The one
quote?
when he's sitting down, he goes, "I'd like to get a couple of hats."
Yeah, that's
maybe
good.
it's maybe a Kermit the Frog, and he goes to Mickey. He goes, "What is that, Kermit?" He goes, "I don't know."
A snow cone. Mickey,
Snow cone maker.
Party, you like snow cones, don't
Yeah,
you?
yeah, I do.
What is it they say in Rocky Balboa when he's training him? He says we've got to build
Hurting bombs.
hurting bombs. I like that.
I wanna
Yeah,
rattle his
I love the
ancestors.
fact that they bring Duke back.
Yeah,
as well.
that's so cool.
Yeah.
That is great. But my favourite, it's not a quote. It's when the ring announcer is listing all of Apollo Creed's nicknames.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
The King of Sting,
Yeah.
the Master
The
of
Count of
Disaster,
Monte
the Count
Cristo.
of Monte Fisto,
I know,
the
it's
Count
so-
of Monte Fisto.
That sounds like a porn star.
It does. The Count of Monte Fisto. So yeah, Apollo's nicknames. They're
Oh,
my favourite
God,
thing
brother.
in all the Rocky films.
I should have broke your thumb. That's a good quote. No, fair enough.
No.
No, no one likes it apart from me. There is no tomorrow is a great quote as well.
yeah.
What's if you could own any memorabilia, anything from the Rocky films, what would it be? It could be anything. It could be the motorbike. It could be a car.
Ooh, memorabilia.
So anything within
one
the
of
movie.
the one of the tennis balls that Apollo throws to his dogs.
A half-chewed one from the
Yeah,
dog.
that was so
I want
cool.
his- I want his car, which has the license plate, not Southpaw, Southpaw.
Support, yeah.
So either the car and the license plate, or just the license plate that says Southpaw.
Yeah.
I want the license plate because I'm left-handed.
Yeah, you should have a
Still,
soft.
I've
you have
asked for a
softball.
tennis ball. You've asked for a car.
Yeah, that's fair.
Hello, I can use my one.
He's reaching again.
I quite like the statue. I want the whole statue in my garden.
Oh Jesus Christ!
And you could charge for admission, man. You'd be rich.
Exactly.
Go on then, Keith. Finish it off.
Apollo's George Washington costume from the first film.
That is so cool.
That'd be good.
That would
Yeah,
be
that's
badass.
cool.
Yeah, that's a good answer.
Yeah.
Should we have any more Rocky films? Or do you think?
Please stop.
Please, no.
Please stop. No
You
more.
know, like
He's
Indiana-
already
you know,
dead.
Like, yeah. He's already dead. You know, like Indiana Jones. You know, like nobody asked them to make another Indiana Jones. film.
Yes, same thing. Stop it, please.
Stop it.
Well, there's only been 3.
Uh-huh.
That's
Clever.
right, yeah.
Yeah,
That's- that
there
was
isn't a
what we
4th
said.
film.
There isn't a fourth.
1, 2,
Or
3,
the one
5.
that's about to come out.
It goes
where
1, 2, 3, 5.
Harrison Ford
So,
aged 105.
so you actually don't think there should be another Rocky film?
No.
Because apparently Stallone has got a script ready to go.
Right.
Please, no.
No Rocky
What's it
film.
gonna be? Come on.
No Rocky film,
trains his
but-
grandson.
TV show spin-offs. Yes.
Unless it's Adrian's Revenge, I'm not interested.
Yeah,
Fair
zombies.
enough.
If it's
Rocky
Adrian's,
zombies.
yeah.
Oh, what's that?
No, they faked her death. She's in Squid Game.
Fair enough. Okay.
What are you talking about?
Almost last
you?
question. Yes, I do. More Rocky, the better.
What do you think-
I like all Rocky films.
You're the robot.
Adrian is the robot.
But
I-
what
my-
could the story be, really? Like, that would make
Exhibition
it
bout in the
worthwhile.
retirement home.
I want to see in Creed 4, Rocky trains up the deaf daughter into a fighter. Because they're the rumours.
No.
No.
Please, no. That's not. You're lying.
No, there are rumours that because she shows she's a bit of a fighter in Creed 3. She's a
Okay.
bit older, so there's rumours that the full film might be based on her.
They could have it just like a silent movie. So basically, you just hear it.
God.
all.
Oh, next question.
Oh my God! Quick,
Next question.
Quick.
Next question. Which fight would you love to have seen in the Rocky universe with two opponents fighting in their peak? So,
Ooh, Clubber versus Apollo.
that would have been in their peak.
That would have been good.
That's the one.
Club would have been smashed out in 2
Oh,
rounds.
that's true, actually. No, that Clubber
tried it
at
out.
his. Oh no, they could end up like the Drago fight. I was going to say Apollo at his dip.
Oh,
And
no.
then
No.
Clubber at his no.
No.
I don't know.
Clubber and-
Clubber and Drago.
Trouble and Drago.
The power.
Power
Clubber
versus
and
power.
Drago, yeah,
Two-
because
two
they're both
powerhouses.
vulnerable. They're both vulnerable
Who
to
can
speed.
hit hard enough?
I actually think Tommy the Machine Gun at his peak would be a good fight against Clubber. I think they're quite similar in their styles, so I think that would be a closer match than people think. I think Tommy's
Clubber
better.
Lang would win. He's got the hunger.
Maybe.
I think
The
we've
hanger.
already had Apollo v Rocky, which
Hang
is
on.
like the ultimate.
Yeah,
ultimate
true.
fight.
Spider Rico and Union Kane.
That could be a spin-off film on its own.
Union Kane is giving him his shot.
Union Kane winds me up royally, I tell you. Oh man!
The fight nobody wants to ask for, nobody wants to see.
So finally, and you can or you can choose not to, or you can put in the Creed films or just the Rockies. Rank the Rocky films, best to worst, and then we'll finish up with the poll. And thank you very much. So
Best to worst.
yeah,
Best. My favorite actually. I wouldn't say the best critically. La 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 la.
Yeah,
la.
yeah.
My favorite one is 4.
yep.
My second one is 3. My third one is 1. My fourth one is 2. My fifth one is 5. Oh, fits. Then Balboa, Creed 1, Creed 2. Creed 2 is at the bottom.
Okay. So okay, interesting.
I wasn't going to include the Creed films, but mine's very similar to Dill's. I always say 3 is my favourite.
Yeah, I like 3.
Because of Hulk Hogan and Mr. T, but it's so close between 3 and 4. Like I could watch either of them at any time and be entertained, and then 1, and then 2, and then Balboa, and then 5, and then I'm a bit meh about the Creed films.
Fair enough.
But yeah, Balboa above 5 for me.
James.
In order. For me. In order.
Hey?
1, 2,
1,
3,
2,
4,
3,
5.
4,
Balboa.
5, 6,
Creed,
7,
Creed,
8, 9, 10.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Yeah.
wow.
Well, that works out well for you and your lazy
No, seriously, that's how it goes.
That's interesting.
That's how it goes.
My
It'll always be one as the best.
And Dylan's gonna say that's not what you had in your list, your last list, because it changes for me. But I'm gonna say Rocky 1 is my favourite. Then probably Rocky 3. Then Rocky 2. Then Rocky 4. Then probably Creed. Then I'm gonna say Rocky Balboa. Then I'm gonna say Creed 2. Then Rocky 5, and then Creed 3. I think I mentioned all of them.
No,
But
you
that's
did, yeah.
that's
You've got-
that's my order.
Well, I can't throw Creed 3 into... I don't... Well, we...
No, I
you
haven't seen
guys
it.
have seen... No.
It's not and there's no
Yeah, so-
terrible films in my view. Even
No,
Creed
well,
3
that's
is
what I'm
alright.
saying. Even though I've put like Creed 2 last, it's not like I hate it. I still enjoy it as a film, but I just think that the way it kind of goes is the way I would stack it.
Fair
But
enough.
I'll always have the first film as my favourite, just purely because there will never be a time when I can't watch it.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
So yeah, for all the reasons we've discussed in the first pod.
Just to finish up, then, should we go with the final poll? The final Facebook.
go on.
Does it differ with Twitter? And then we'll.
Oh, does it, boy? Yeah. So we've got. So what did we have on the Twitter one? We had 1 as the runaway winner, didn't we? Yeah. So 1 only just edges the win here. Only just edges the win over 4. Yeah, by about a couple of votes. It's very, very close. Yeah. Unfortunately, due to Facebook's wonderful way of not showing you any statistics at all, I can't give you any numbers. So it's just like a graph. But yeah, 1 steals it. 4's in second place. We then have 3 quite far behind. 2 has only got a couple of votes. Yeah, which unlike Twitter, which was obviously quite good for 2, we've 5 and Balboa on nothing.
Wow, no one even likes them.
No votes at all.
That's their favourite.
And-
They don't
and-
like
and
it.
here's-
It's not surprising though, because you asked people what their favourite was, not what their order was.
Yes,
So,
and in a cruel twist of fate, Rocky and Bullwinkle get a vote, and so does Rocky 7, Adrian's Revenge.
I didn't even do that. I didn't even do that.
No, it's not you. It's not you.
I didn't even do that.
So yeah, that the list goes. Yeah, the list goes 1, 4, 3, 2. nothing for Five and Balboa, and then a vote for Rocky Bullwinkle and Rocky 7.
Very good.
Oh, Facebook, what are you like?
Guys, thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed the pod. We'll be back on the game soon. Don't worry. That's our movies done and dusted, I reckon.
Maybe.
We'll see. Anyway, look after yourselves. We'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to today's podcast. We really hope you enjoyed it. You can tweet us at Arcade Attack UK. We're also on Facebook at facebook.com/Arcade Attack UK. Check out our website at arcadeattack.co.uk for lots more retro gaming goodness and to delve into our archives. Our podcasts are also available on Spotify, Stitcher, Podbean, YouTube and Apple Podcasts. Please leave us a review and a rating, we'd really appreciate it. If you'd like to support Arcade Attack, please check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/arcadeattack, which will give you access to exclusive podcasts, interviews and other bonus content. So, until next time, take care and we'll speak to you soon.